Good morning, everyone. Welcome to CARE FM 93.5 FM, broadcasting from Boulevard Baptist Church, located at 2 Washington Boulevard, Kingston 10. I'm your host, Cheryl Bloomfield. Thank you for joining us this morning for another discussion with our youth. This morning, we will be getting their views on the state of crime in the society and the likely impact on their future. To assist us with the discussion, we have Miss Sophia Murray, a school administrator at Camperdown High School. In fact, she is the vice principal. She's a member of the Boulevard Baptist Church. She's a justice of the peace, a volunteer at Safe Spot. We also have Miss Deborah Box, a guidance counselor with training in counseling psychology. She's also a member of the Boulevard Baptist Church. Joining us for the discussion are Matthew Gibbs, a member of the Boulevard Baptist Church, and Aliana Hutchinson, who is also a member of the church. We also have Mrs. Tamar Martin, a member of the church also, and a mother of 3 young girls. So Matthew and Aliana, what are your thoughts, on what's happening in the society in our country where crime is concerned? I know you're listening to the radio, or as young people, you're more on social media, on Facebook and Instagram. But the news is, there. And I know you see the other day there was some mass shooting at a football game. And every day you listen to the news, there's some killing. How does all of this make you feel?
Well, for me, mentally, I'm kind of used to it already. So it doesn't really bother me like that, but sometimes it does affect me because there are schoolmates like myself that go through these types of violences and crimes. So I know my mind I haven't really wrapped around it sometimes like that to really actually know. I put myself in the position of those people going through those crimes, so I'm not sure. I'm not really there yet in a headspace to really kind of, talk about crime and violence as yet, in my position.
So Matthew, can I ask how old you are?
I'm 18.
You're 18?
Yeah.
That sounds kind of frightening to me,
Yeah.
Sister Murray. I don't know about you. If he says that he's kind of used to it, that's frightening.
Oh yeah, so for me, it was like I was kind of used to it, but it's like when I think too hard on it, that's when it starts to bother me. Like, that stabbing that happened the other day at Kingston Technical, right? I saw the video of the girl getting stabbed, and I would say it was kind of traumatizing, because it was like, you could see, it's like you're not only hearing about it, you also see it. And it's really weird, because I would also see it on like the Gleaner, Jamaica Gleaner's Twitter page.
And my socials as well.
Oh yeah, and other socials as well. And it was really disheartening, I guess, to see that this is really the state where we're at the moment. So I wouldn't say I'm kind of used to it. I'm just really disappointed, I guess.
Disappointed, disheartening. Sister Murray, what are your thoughts so far on what they have said?
Well, I'm aware that a lot of our young people, they are not really affected by crime per se, but you have others who might be in the environment at their home, for example, in their communities. They might be affected more in that it might be a little bit more stressful for them. They are a bit more fearful of their environment. For some persons, it can actually affect their academic performance. and because they're unable to study in that environment. But what we must understand with young people is that they're a little bit more resilient than we think they are. And so it might be a 9-day wonder for most of them, especially if they're not in that environment. They will see what is happening, and yes, they will have that discussion, but they move on very quickly. So they're able to deal with it. Some are able to deal with it a little bit more better than others.
Sister Tamar? What are your thoughts on the matter?
Well, being a mother of 3 young girls and living in Kingston where crime is around you, left, right, and center, you live in a state of paranoia most of the time because it's as if you are expecting something to happen at any minute. You try to be safe, you lock up as best as possible, but then when you go out on a daily basis and you see sometimes you even experience it firsthand. Persons are robbed right beside you, or family members are held up or even killed. Then you wonder, what type of society is it that we are leaving for our children? Because if it is so bad now, in another 5-10 years, what is the state of Jamaica really going to be? So it's I think we are at the point where we have to do something as Jamaican citizens, because it's bad. It is really bad.
Yes, I was looking at the Gleaner, March 28th, where the National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang, said prosperity and economic growth are under threat and could, because of the crime, which could derail the ability of the government in meeting its obligations to pay suitable wages to carry out infrastructure developments if crime and violence are not brought under control, because crime affects everything, everybody. But what Matthew said was kind of scary, that he has gotten used to it, and we, yes, and I suppose that's a lot of young people's coping
It is.
method.
They become normal.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, that's the word. They have to cope because they can't be thinking about this while they're studying, and it's really bad that it has reached that stage where it becomes the norm. So when something happens, that's just another day thing, and
It almost looks like it's like Jamaican's culture, so it doesn't look away per se, because it's like, oh, that's just how Jamaica is.
Yeah, you basically expect it to
You basically expect it to happen. So,
The youth are just reflecting the state of society on a whole, because alright, a tragic murder happens and it's on the news cycle for a couple days, and then nothing. You don't really hear much follow up on it. It was their justice. It's just, and there's another crime to cover. And so because of that, they have, just like I could say for the majority of us, become desensitized. That's just the reality that we're dealing with.
So, what do you think? How do you think, this is going to play out? What will happen to the country? Because if everybody this is the norm, and try to put themselves in a little box, things are only going to get worse.
And if you remember, there were reports about the massive kind of brain drain, especially with our young people, right? I think maybe it could be seen as a byproduct of the desensitization of crime. They already make up in their mind that, well, I'm not going to stay here. to deal with this. So I'm just gonna grin and bear it until I can get the opportunity to leave. Because I can tell you right now, even as I speak to some young persons, I hear things even in the primary setting. They want to be a soldier, but then they say, Miss, I want to be a soldier in the American Army.
Oh.
And this is in grade 4 and 3, so they're already making up their mind that I don't want to stay here. So that we're in a dire situation.
And that is a problem because if all the educated, young people leave, that's a big problem because there's nobody here to build, to have the balance, because that's what
the economy.
right, that's what the university graduates, they are the ones who create that balance. So if everybody leaves, then we are going to be in serious problems. Sister Maureen?
Yes. Young people will decide to leave our country for a better opportunity in the United States or North America generally. And this is what we call brain drain, and the impact is widespread because we're going to find that the industries, as you mentioned, will lack persons with the skills and knowledge to help to build our country. But I think that can be reduced, the brain drain can be reduced if crime, yes, is reduced and more opportunity of employment is given to our young people. I don't think it's something that we have to really worry about right now because you will always have those persons who will stay in Jamaica and you will have those who will migrate. And we must also remember that migration is not all bad because these are the young people who will go abroad, gain valuable experiences, and sometimes they do return to help to build their country. And if not that, they will send back remittances to those who are here, yes.
I think I prefer the part where you said, they would come back.
Some will.
They go abroad, they get the experience, and they come back to build, help to build the country. I prefer that. But
Yes.
everybody can't leave,
No.
We have to have majority of them stay in, to build, with their bright, ideas and so with the crime as is, a lot of them, as you said, not thinking of staying, so
You must also remember that there's crime abroad. There's mass shooting. There are negative impact in terms of cultural differences and all of that. So it's not always rosy on the other side. So some will return eventually.
Yeah, just like she's like, personally, it's like for me personally, I'm planning on doing like what I want to do. I'm saying I was going to go study abroad and then come back to Jamaica. But as of lately, I've been wondering if I should even come back to this country because the crime is just, out of this world. I really just call it like a mass genocide every week. That's how I call it, really. So it's like, crime and violence can also affect, I said, like the building of the economy further on because obviously some people don't feel like they don't want to come back, and it's just going to affect like jobs and employment and all those things. So
we do understand that there's crime everywhere, I think, but what makes it so close to us is that because the size, we're a small country. We're a small country, and then everybody can, relate to somebody being killed, or they saw this, so it seemed to be getting closer, every day. So that's what makes it so scary, because we used to say, oh, it only happens some places down the road or so. It doesn't happen in our neighborhood. But what you have seen now is that
It's random.
everybody's at risk, because if the criminal or the bad people, they're after somebody now, and they're in a crowd.
You're indirectly involved.
Yes, you're at risk. It's not that they're waiting until they get find who they want. They just open fire and then everybody.
Just do anything.
So you could be an innocent, person just stopped at a shop to get something, and somebody is there that was involved in something, and somebody is looking for them, and the person ride up and just you get caught up. So that is what makes it scary.
And the fact that they're killing children as well. The children are the victims a lot of the times of these. It's not even like a gang warfare, but somebody can just have some kind of beef with somebody. Yeah.
And so
And-
they take out
right.
the child, and you think of, apart from the children that are at risk, you think about women too.
Yes.
Because you remember there was a period when it was like every other day you hear of a young man being kidnapped. And I think they're just double risk, apart from being at the wrong place at the wrong time, your gender, if it's a child, there's so many persons who have evil intent towards our children. And so it's a lot of factors that come into play. But as I think about those things, and I think about the perpetrators of the crime, they usually say it is young men, sometimes as young as 18 and so on. I think that is the reason why we had the sixth form pathway programs being instituted and so on. These are little ways I think our government is trying to keep our boys in school, so that we could probably get them away from those forces that are saying, okay, let's go and do these criminal activities. Because, all right, even now, I don't know how it is in the high school, but when you tell a boy to sit down and do their work, and then they have somebody on the outside saying, we can get some quick money, can do scamming, and that can be like a gateway drug of sorts. You get into this criminal activity, and then you're led to do other, you get away with that, and then somebody go and treat you wrong, and so you go on and you do higher criminal activities to murder and so on. So it's something that we have to find other ways to mitigate and such.
Right, I do get the point there, because a lot of these young persons, they see certain people living, a certain way. They're driving X6 and Mercedes Benz, and
Get it easy.
right. So, and then they tend to get off track,
Right.
because going to school, doing things the right way, that's too difficult, too hard,
No, and then they hear that their brethren get away with it. So it's like, who to say I can't get away with it? And as especially in adolescence, there's this kind of cognition. Their way of thinking is that they feel that they're invincible, right? And so they think that, okay, that happened to that person, but it's
But
not
I'm
going
too
to happen
smart.
to me. Right. And
You're an
so-
idiot, man,
Right, but I'm quicker, I'm faster, I'm
Well,
stronger.
that's them and I'm me. Mentality.
Right. So if we can break through to them and let them know that no, that's not how the world works, and I think that is why these gang leaders can quickly recruit them,
Yeah.
because they're so impressionable, and because research shows that they have this developmental psychologists. They show that the adolescents tend to feel this kind of way, that it's me against the world. I can do this. I can do anything. And so when you have that kind of impressionable mind working with, you can see how it's easy to mold them into the wrong direction, especially if you show them that they can get everything they want easier than doing it the moral way, which is longer.
And I mean, it tends to happen mostly like with boys who like don't have like a father figure. So they're most vulnerable and they feel like this person is like a father to them and whatever they say is right and whatever, so they end up going in this direction that they think is going to lead them somewhere, and all they're going to do is die. So yeah, true.
Yes, that's true, because sometimes it comes back from the home, and as you said, sometimes there's no father figure in the home, there's no role model, so they look outside, and if the gang leader or so can provide, some of them look to the gang as a home, a family that provides support. Right, so it's like it's filling a void there. So I suppose we're gonna have to we have to fill that void, for them. Because I mean, boys really need role models, somebody who can show them, what it's like to be a man, and some of them really don't have that at home, so they look outside.
You remember back in the day when we had more peaceful times and the times when we really embodied as a culture the village raising the child. We don't really have that anymore. And so, if you decide that you see a child on the wrong path and you're going to talk to when the parent gets involved, you're trying to know how they will start to attack you.
Yes.
Because how dare you talk to my child about how they're behaving, even though you have the best intentions for them. And so, if we are to examine our past, and be able to see what has shifted, because something has shifted. There was a time when you never had these high fences around homes. I remember when I traveled abroad when I was younger, and I looked and I saw there was no real high gates like what we have in the corporate area. And I said, this is so unnatural to me, because that's what I knew growing up. I'm like, aren't they afraid for their lives? But then I'd listen to my parents and they said, no, but that's how we grew up. There was no high fences and blocking out the world, essentially. That kind of innate subconscious fear that we carry around wasn't there. It was something that was learned, that was developed. So if we can look and see what were we doing, because we must have been doing something right. And I think one aspect at the very least is that, us as Jamaicans being as a community,
yes,
type like one big community and helping each other.
Right, everybody was the mother and father of the kids. If you saw somebody's child doing something on the road, you would call to them. As a matter of fact, they wouldn't even let you see them doing anything because you were going to tell their mother.
Exactly.
And you know what had happened. But no, oh my, they don't care, they don't care.
Yeah, it's really ironic because me and my friends were actually having this conversation like the other day, and we're thinking that society wasn't really made to have like nuclear families only. Like the village raising a child was how it really was supposed to be, because you see with the way how things are, like just living expenses in general, it's like this wasn't made for a nuclear family type of situation. It was made for like community raise a child, not only mother and father. You have other helps and whatever. But obviously in this day and age, nobody wants somebody to come and talk to them about how they must raise them picnic. So it's just instead Jamaica has changed, society has changed.
And I
Nobody
think
wants
a
the
part of it as well
innocent.
is that, the country has shifted from a child raised a village because people have become more jealous of what others have, They look
Yeah.
on somebody and say, all right, I want that, and then you have the stealing and the killing, because they want to live up to that expectation or live up to that standard of those certain people. So that's really where the crime stems from, jealousy and the vengefulness in the homes.
And I think our values, the whole value system has changed, that we're so more materialistic,
Yeah.
So everybody wants this, that, and they want it now.
That's true.
Everybody has
Everybody wants the quick money.
right,
Yeah,
the quick, and some of these young men and so will say, but they're not going to live to be 25 or something, so they have to do everything now. They have to get everything
They want to
now.
be set for life now.
Yes, it's a no thing.
Instead of trying to follow like a process to work your way to that point, they want it all
Right.
one time, and when they get it that one time, that is when everything starts crumbling.
Yes. So the whole value system has totally broken down. So I don't know if I know some people will say, when I think you probably might be too young for this, when we used to have just JBC TV. So TV would sign on, must be in the evening, and then sign off
Yes.
Yeah.
by a certain time. So, and the programming was contained, But now TV's on 24 hours a day, and the type of programming is just out of the world. So everybody is so exposed, and even the social media, the Facebook, Instagram, and so everybody has access. So even that, I think, might be a part of the problem too. And as you said about everybody wanting what the other person had, because when they see people posting on Instagram and they what's the term, flossing, and what's it, Matthew? Braffing on. I ain't good at those things, but when they see all of that, people posting up this and that, and they say, oh man, I have to get that too.
Yeah, because even a discussion I had with my friends this week, the school captains, basically what the deputies are doing, trying to live up to the expectation of the school captain that is, and that the school captain is basically, I'm not going to say but richer than them, so what they're trying to do is trying to copy him basically, so what the deputy did was he tried to, he's trying to go around and collect money from everybody else when he knows that we as students, we don't have that kind of money to give, but he's trying to match that kind of level of school captain, but basically trying to live up to the hype, and that is where everything really starts from there, the crime, because you're trying to match somebody at a level that you're not at yet, when you just need to be patient and try to work something out from there, I'm not saying anything is wrong with asking for help, but, there's a time and place for everything,
Yes, we need to be more patient, and just put in the work, and not expect everything to happen today, right now. Because, and then you hear some of the saying, oh, they're not going to live forever,
Yes, YOLO. You only live once.
they're not going to live forever, so they have to do it now. So I suppose we just have to get back to, the root, the value system, build back the families. And another thing, a lot of the families now, the mothers and the fathers are children themselves. The age group is just so young, the children having children, so they don't have the proper grounding, so they can't pass on these, good values and things to the children. So it's really a big problem that we really need to look at, So I want to thank you all for this evening. I think we had a good we had a good, discussion. So a lot of things that really came out, which the first frightening thing that came out was that these young people, oh, I'm kind of used to what's happening now, So it's as if they have taken the vaccine. They have taken the vaccine, so they're immune to it. I think that's frightening, and we need to do something about that. The other point was that it's the crime, it's disheartening. Some persons really are thinking of not staying here after school, so they need to go away where they think it is safer. Sister Murray had stated that people leaving isn't bad because, they do go abroad, get this first world experience, and they come back and help to build the nation. But we still need the young people to stay here, right? Because they're the balancing, to help to balance the country. So when all of them leave, then we really have a problem. I think another big point that came out was that the whole value system has broken down, and we need to work on that to have, more values instilled in our young people, get back to the days of the village raising the child, to have better role models for our young people, because that's the only way that we're going to get, because they're the next generation. They're going to be in charge. And I'm really worried for my old age. if things, continue like this, because I really want to sit back on my veranda, in my rocking chair and look out, get the cool breeze. I don't plan to lock up inside and just peep in through the window. So we really have a lot to think about and a lot to do. So I want to thank you all for coming for this session, and we'll continue next time to look at, what we can do, practical things that we can do to help to bring a change, because we have to be the change, We can't just sit there and look and complain. We have to decide to do something to take back the country, because not all of us can migrate again. Some of us really have to stay, and in that way we have to make it a better place. So thank you all for coming and joining us this morning, and thank you for listening to us again on Care FM 93.5 FM, broadcasting from Boulevard Baptist Church. Please join us again next time as we explore another relevant topic. Have a good morning, everyone.